President Trump using strong words to justify actions taken against Iran. A man has died after being shot in Wasco. And Governor Gavin Newsom prepares to exercise an executive order aimed at the homeless population. This is 17 News at Noon. Good afternoon to you. I'm Alex Fisher. We begin with frightening moments at Clinica Sierra Vista after reports of a shooting. We want to take you out live to the scene. We just got off the phone with police and they say there is no active shooter and no one has been wounded in this shooting. Now, as you can see, the window is shattered and police have taped off the area. We've checked with schools in the area, but including Garces Memorial, and no one is on lockdown. If you want more on this story, you can just head to our website, kget.com. This morning, President Trump assured Americans everything is okay after Iran launched more than a dozen ballistic missiles at two bases housing U.S. troops in Iraq. Military teams are assessing the damage. Iran's supreme leader says the strikes were in retaliation for the U.S. drone strike that killed their top military leader. Here's NBC's Jennifer Johnson with more.
Flanked by his top generals, President Trump today addressing the nation and playing down Iran's missile attack on Iraqi bases housing U.S. forces.
The American people should be extremely grateful and happy. No Americans were harmed in last night's attack by the Iranian regime. Iran appears to be standing down, which is a good thing for all parties concerned and a very good thing for the world.
Today, Iran's supreme leader bragged the strikes were a slap in the face to America for the killing of top General Qasem Soleimani last week. But U.S. officials point out Iran's attack was relatively modest in scope. The White House is defending the drone strike that killed Soleimani, saying intelligence showed he planned an imminent attack against Americans in the region. Democrats infuriated they weren't given advance notice.
You've got members of Congress sitting around waiting to see what comes up on their news feed about what Iran does today and what President Trump does tomorrow. We shouldn't just be passive spectators.
President Trump's decision to take out Soleimani has been met with mixed reactions, many fearing the general's death would lead to another war in the Middle East.
If they wanted to, they could have done a lot of damage. It's a great, it's a wonderful thing for America that we didn't have anybody killed last night.
Iran's foreign minister says his country does not seek an escalation or war. President Trump has also said he doesn't want a war with Iran as Americans wait to see what happens next. Jennifer Johnson, NBC News, Washington.
Meantime, House Minority Leader and Bakersfield Congressman Kevin McCarthy is calling for unity. Key Republicans, including McCarthy, spoke this morning ahead of President Trump's address to the nation, defending the president's authority and criticizing their Democratic colleagues.
The president has all authority to defend us, and he used that right to do it. And I think the president had handled this correctly all the way through. I trust his judgment, and I know he's making us safer by the actions he is taking.
Meantime, Hanford Congressman T.J. Cox released a statement last night after the attack saying, "I'm praying for the safety and security of our servicemen and women in Iraq. Their well-being is my priority. I'm looking to this administration to provide leadership and guidance to stop this before it escalates any further." All right, let's turn things over to Kevin Charette, who is live this afternoon outside our studios at Compassion Corner for our annual Cinnamon Roll Drive. And Kev, I got to ask you, are there any cinnamon rolls left?
There are a few, and we will get another update from Janelle Capra, the executive director from ADAKC, in just a little bit on that. But today's been a great day. People have been coming down and grabbing the Hodel cinnamon rolls since we pretty much started at 5 a.m. It was one car after the other. People really seeing the benefit of having ADAKC in our community, the great programs that they offer. And to give you an idea, for every pan that was sold today, that will supply somebody at ADAKC with an hour's worth of services. So that's so important here, and you can see we've had our videographers out all morning long, and you can just see the compassion that this community has in terms of supporting ADAKC and the great mission that they have. And there are a lot of people that are impacted by ADAKC and their services, and one of them right now is Deborah Brown. And Deborah, you moved all the way from Colorado with your husband Stan because he was in need of a facility that offered great care. And so you moved, and now you're taking on the services of ADAKC.
We specifically sought out the center, and it is an amazing center. It has activities that change every 30 minutes. And my husband was relatively young when he was diagnosed. He was 67. He's had Alzheimer's now for 2.5 years. And it has really made a difference in his life. He started going in October when we moved here, and I'm so grateful for the center.
And you've seen a huge change in your husband since he started.
Absolutely. I was working full-time, and he was sitting there watching television, and I tried to hire day people. And in our little mountain community in Colorado, there was absolutely no facilities. So once he got here and he got it started, he's very social. He's got a great sense of humor. His type of Alzheimer's started with his vision and then has progressed to motor skills, but he still is who he is, and he's got such a great personality, and people love him. He loves the staff. The staff is absolutely amazing, professional men and women who really care about their patients.
Well, we're glad that you came to Bakersfield, Deborah, and your husband, Stan, and we're glad that you're getting the great services at ADAKC. And that's what today is all about, Alex. People coming out and supporting ADAKC and the great services that they provide, and they're going to be able to do that because we sold out of a lot. We didn't sell out, but, hey, I would say it's a success. And Janelle Capper's in the background shaking her head, and she's going to give us the final numbers coming up when we go into the forecast in just a little bit. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Kev, thanks so much. Glad to see that there's still cinnamon rolls still left to buy. All right, moving on. 2020 is starting off to a violent start as another person has died after being shot. The latest shooting happened in Wasco off Broadway and 12th Streets on Friday. The sheriff's office says a 27-year-old man was shot in the leg. Detectives say he had other wounds. This morning, deputies said the man has died of his wounds. He died on Monday. If you have any information on this case, call the sheriff's office at 861-3110. Or you can remain anonymous by calling the secret witness line at 322-4040. We now know the name of the child killed in a suspected hit-and-run crash yesterday. We first told you about this crash yesterday on 17 News at sunrise. The crash happened just after 3:30 in the morning at Cottonwood Road and East Pacheco Road. BPD says a man driving with the kids was going southbound on Cottonwood when a driver in another car pulled out in front of them. The coroner says 9-year-old Emiliano Hernandez was killed in that crash. A 3-year-old, another 9-year-old, and a 12-year-old suffered serious injuries. BPD says the suspect, Evaristo Nunez, is facing charges for the child's death and for running away from the crash. Officers arrested him yesterday at the home, and that is according to a news release. Governor Gavin Newsom is set to issue an executive order aimed at getting homeless people off the streets of cities across the state. The goal is to immediately find homeless people temporary housing on a short-term and emergency basis. Areas that might be used for the purpose include vacant hospitals, Caltrans properties across from highways, and fairgrounds, where a shelter crisis is in effect. This announcement comes as Governor Newsom is set to roll out the proposed state budget later this week. That budget will likely include a major focus on homelessness. Bakersfield College's head football coach has stepped down. Coach Jeff Chudy has been with the Renegades for 28 years. He's been at the helm of the football program for 16 years. Chudy led the Renegades to 112 victories during his tenure. And you may remember back in 2012, Chudy led BC to a state championship. Coach Chudy said in a statement he's stepping away and devoting more time to his family. A search for his replacement is underway. Well, most of us make resolutions for the new year, but did you make one for your dog? One pet owner did for their furry friend. We'll explain that resolution and how it made all the difference for this overweight pup. Welcome back. This is kind of interesting. A dog's New Year's resolution in 2019 was to lose weight, and it's really paid off. The pup lost 25 pounds in the past year, and as Spencer Schatt reports, he's got a new leash on love.
Oh, good girl, come on. Watching Pearl run, you would never guess that just last year, she could barely walk.
She weighed 50 pounds. She was unable to walk more than maybe 4 or 5 steps before her legs would give out. She had a dislocated hip that prevented her from being able to walk well.
Jessie McClay works at the Humane Society of Western Montana.
How about high five?
And when she first saw Pearl, she thought she knew how to help. So she brought Pearl to Montana Water Dogs to try out water therapy.
Her first swim session, she swam for 1 minute and 45 seconds. And so not very long. Many breaks in between. I think she swam for 10 seconds at a time. And then we would take a break and then swim a few more seconds. And then she was exhausted. She couldn't stand. She couldn't walk for the rest of the day.
After 54 sessions, 6 days a week, Pearl built up her endurance and was able to swim for up to 15 minutes.
In the time that we were swimming, she lost easily 20 or 25 pounds.
After dropping those first few pounds, Pearl's true personality began to shine through.
She's amazing. She runs, she swims, she plays with other dogs. She has the biggest personality that I never ever would have expected when I first met her.
But she's not out of the doghouse yet. Pearl has Cushing's disease, and in order to keep that weight off, she needs to follow a strict diet. But that doesn't mean she can't enjoy a treat every now and again.
We finally said, can she have anything? And the vet said she can have green beans. And it took a long time for us to convince her that green beans are pretty good. Now she loves them.
Pearl is also loving her new leash on life. Reporting in Missoula, I'm Spencer Schott.
All right, let's now take a look at your forecast now with Kevin Charette, who is outside our studios at Compassion Corner for our annual 88KC Cinnamon Roll Drive, and he's been out there all day kind of seeing how everything's been going. How's the look out there, Kev?
Well, we still have a few people coming through and wanting to grab a cinnamon rolls, last-ditch effort, really. But I want to bring in Janelle Capper right now, Executive Director of 88KC, and you're real happy with what happened here today.
You know, we've just had such an amazing morning being out here dark and early, and it has been steady. We still have cars coming right now. So for all of you who have participated, thank you so much. And again, you can always support us. Right now, our text to give is still open. So text HODELS 41444, or you can always go to 88kc.org to support our organization.
Do we know roughly how much we've raised?
So we are at more than $33,000 raised just since the morning. And I think that's an amazing effort for this amount of time we've been out here.
That's great. And it's amazing. We're showing video right now of this morning, and people just one car after the other. You had so many great volunteers. The baseball team from Cal State, this was really early for them. I know some of those guys, and they don't get up at 5 a.m. And you had a lot of people out here. Liberty High School.
And, you know, it's Kern County. This is Compassion Corner, and this is where we're coming together to support one another. So $10 a pan, thanks to HODELS for making that happen for us, adds up to 1 hour of care, and that really is life-saving for anyone having a family member with Alzheimer's.
And we've heard those testimonials all day long about the care and how much it means to a family. So we want to thank all of Kern County for coming out, and we really appreciate it. And Janelle, did we get a count yet of how many rolls were left? I think we said about 200.
So we're just about 250 rolls left. We will bring them back to our center, so if you want to visit us there, you can. And again, if you want to support or learn more, 88kc.org.
Perfect. So they're wrapping up here at Compassion Corner, but the remaining of the cinnamon rolls will head back to 88KC, so you can probably call their office if you really want one, which I don't blame you. And again, keep on supporting 88KC and all their great programs. On the weather front, I'll tell you, people battled a little drizzle this morning. It's been a little chilly out here, and temperatures are still a little on the cool side, with Bakersfield still in the 40s, 47 degrees, 48 in Buttonwillow, and then 40s into the mountains. This stratus deck doesn't help with a warm-up, and you can see it here on the satellite. It stretches over the Grapevine as well and through the 58. So if you're traveling through those areas, you will run into some low clouds. 7 miles visibility now for Bakersfield. We're improving to the north of us as well for Fresno and Tulare at 2 miles visibility. And here's a look at I-5 at Fraser Mountain Road. Now take a look at this. Where this camera is, it looks great, but if you look in the distance, there is some low cloud still. So just keep that in mind. You may run into that a little bit as you travel. And you can see our next system is on the way out of the north. That is expected to arrive tomorrow. These systems that I'm going to be talking about are light in nature. They're not bringing a lot of rain to our area, but they will increase winds into the mountains. And our Futurecast model here goes from tomorrow through next Tuesday, and we're looking right around 1,400 of an inch for Bakersfield, about a quarter of an inch north of Fresno. So not a lot. So patchy fog and drizzle we saw this morning, and then we talked about those series of storms, and right now I'm going to put about 1/10 of an inch of rain by the time this is all said and done, and we may pick up a little bit of snow in the mountains, but I don't think it will affect our travels much over the passes. 55 in Bakersfield today, 56 in Delano, 53 in Taft. Hopefully we'll reach this temperature. Again, yesterday we just couldn't compete with the Stratus deck and kept our temperatures down. 44 in Fraser Park, 53 in Tehachapi today, 50s out of the Kern River Valley, and also a little on the windy side. The desert, mostly sunny and 52 out of Mojave. As we take a look at the overall day, you can see tomorrow that chance of rain and then possibly some fog for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday we have another chance of some showers. And then for the mountains, tomorrow snow level will be right near 3,500 feet. But again, I'm not expecting a lot of moisture, and then we get another chance by next Monday, Tuesday, still keeping you somewhat cool. And then for the Kern River Valley, tomorrow will cool you down into the upper 40s, a little bit of a rebound in the temperatures for Friday and Saturday, and then 40s Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of next week, and you also have a slight chance of some showers by early next week as well. But for the rest of today, again, temperatures are probably going to end up in the lower 50s. That's what I'm expecting because this cloud deck is not going to burn off, and it's still a little chilly out here right now. But a big thank you to everybody in Kern County for coming out and supporting our Cinnamon Roll Drive, all to support ADAKC. The money that we raised here today is going to do great things right here in our community. Alex?
And what's great is you still have time. You still have time to come out and support ADAKC and get your hands on some cinnamon rolls because, and I have to say, they're very tasty, but this is like the perfect weather, too, for cinnamon rolls.
It is, and it can't guarantee that if you come down, you leave your house right now, that they'll be out here, there'll be cinnamon rolls left, because, again, we're right at the end here, but they are going to be taking the leftovers over to ADAKC, so you might want to call them and maybe stop by this afternoon and pick up one.
All right, sounds good. Thanks so much, Kev. All right, well, still to come on 17 News at noon, it is a list of the best jobs. Did your position make the list? We'll break it down coming up after the break.
KGET Business Watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
Welcome back. U.S. News and World Report has compiled its list of the best jobs for this year. Taking top honors is software developer. This year marks a triple crown for the role, which has led the pack for 3 years in a row. But before you send your kids to code camp, consider this. The rest of the top 5 is filled out by jobs in healthcare. Dentist, physician's assistant, orthodontist, and nurse practitioner are the next best jobs. And the best paying job won't come as a surprise to anyone who has received an itemized bill for surgery. It's an anesthesiologist, followed by surgeon, and you guessed it, even more jobs in healthcare. It is said to be the first new brewery in decades for downtown Bakersfield, and they plan to open later this month. On Facebook, Second Phase Brewing says it is opening on the 25th. What makes Second Phase different is that it's a pure brewery that does not have to serve food. That's thanks to a change in the city's code last year. It moved into the complex on 19th and O Streets, where it joins Killer Pokey and the upcoming Bottle Shock. It's a wine bar. All right, we'll be back with more stories coming up after this. Welcome back. Our return to Ridgecrest coverage continues. 17's Karen Waugh visited the only animal shelter open during the July earthquakes, and she brings us this heartwarming story.
After the earthquakes, not only were people displaced from their houses, many pets were too. So one rescue stepped up, but there are still animals looking for forever homes.
Come here, Lucky. Good boy. Hi, Luna. Do you want to come out?
It's been a rough road for these two.
She purrs really nice.
A pit mix and a cat abandoned during the 4th of July earthquakes.
When the earthquake started and the fireworks combined, we ended up opening 24/7.
Almost Eden Rescue in Ridgecrest picked them up during the chaotic holiday weekend.
We were the only thing that was open for 2-hour drive in any direction.
The rescue received so many animals, they were forced to expand from their main facility.
We have a warehouse. Yeah, this is it.
They called it the Ark.
We were getting about easily 50 dogs a day, plus cats, plus rabbits that were lost, misplaced, hurt. Good boy.
Almost all the animals were eventually reunited with their owners or adopted out. But at the end of the flood, the Ark had just 2 left. Lucky and Luna.
He doesn't know that he's not wanted. And yes, and they get lots of loves and lots of visits.
The community has since come together to their rescue.
The washer and dryer were donated to us. Cat food and dog food, more dog food. Fencing, the wood fencing back here was put up by the community. Very touched.
making this a happy tale for Lucky and Luna.
And so is he. Just so much was done. And I love Ridgecrest.
Karen Hua,
love you.
17 News.
And this fall on 17 News at Sunrise, we highlighted a report from Caltech scientists that noted new movement along a fault that runs through Kern County. Scientists previously have never recorded movement on the Garlock Fault, and 17's Maddie Jansen has a look.
So after Ridgecrest, there was a pretty significant earthquake, the two that we felt July 4th and July 5th. There were a series of tens of thousands of earthquakes that have been going. The rest of them are much smaller, all the way through the eastern California shear zones, up Owens Valley, and a few that have gone this direction on the Garlock.
I took a trip there with geologist and seismologist Emily Fisher to talk about the implications of the recent movement.
The Garlock Fault is that border between the Sierras and the Mojave and all these different regions. So it's a really interesting fault, and I don't know that we fully understand what's going on with it yet.
The Garlock runs through several Kern County communities, including Tehachapi and Fraser Park, and dead ends into the San Andreas Fault. So what would an earthquake along the Garlock look like?
We would feel in Bakersfield, which is why that article was a bit alarming to us. You'd probably feel it in the whole area from Ridgecrest and Los Angeles.
And what does the new movement mean?
Be prepared, but it shouldn't be as scary as it sounds.
Maddie's report is coming up tonight on 17 News at 5. She'll also have some tips on preparing, because the only certain thing about earthquakes in California is that they are going to happen. So that's coming up tonight at 5. When we come back on 17 News at noon, keeping busy while staying lazy. The new product unveiled that will help you get around while sitting back and relaxing. Welcome back at the CES 2020 Technology Show in Las Vegas. Segway unveiled a new product, the Segway S-Pod. The company says the S-Pod balances on its own without the need to lean forward or backward to speed up or slow down, like riders must do with a standard Segway. The S-Pod can go up to 24 miles per hour. That seems a little fast. Passengers control the speed with a knob, and it is designed for enclosed spaces like airports and malls. Segway says the S-Pod is the company's first step toward offering new transportation options to various cities. I don't know about this. It looks a little cool, but if I start seeing them all over the malls and stores, no, not a fan of that. All right, thanks so much for joining us for 17 News at noon. We'll see you back here tonight for 17 News at 5.
17 News, your local news leader, continues 24 hours a day on KGET.com and our 17 News app. In the spirit of the Golden Empire, 17 News.